Hello and welcome to that 90s Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, James Tunstall, and today, special guest, one of the biggest stars during the new generation era of the mid-90s. He's the first ever African-American Intercontinental Champion. He is the Pearl River powerhouse, the one and only Mr. Ahmed Johnson. How you doing?
Yay! All right, how are you?
Good, thanks. In the middle of a bit of a storm at the minute, but hopefully it'll soon go by.
Do it now?
Sorry. Yeah. We just got a bit of a storm at the minute, so hopefully it'll be passing by quite soon.
Oh, okay.
Cool. How's things going on your end?
Oh, well, it was good. You know, we had a freeze, man, and electricity was off for a day here, but most places it was off for 5 days. And it was a freeze, bad freeze.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard it was pretty bad. I saw some videos and there's people, the cars are so frozen, they're trying to knock the ice off the cars with a hammer just to try and get inside the cars.
It was bad. When you come
Cool.
to Texas, you're going to see cows in Texas.
Yeah. Cool. So I suppose we'll get to the beginning. So you're starting wrestling. So what made you want to become a wrestler? I know that during your days in school, you was doing football and such, but where did the opportunity to become a wrestler come from?
Just hanging out with a buddy of mine, and he wanted to go to Ivan Putski's wrestling school and asked me to come with him. So he went and I went with him, and we went from there.
Awesome. And what was it like training underneath Ivan Putski? Obviously, he's one of the all-time legends. So what was he like to be around?
It was fun, man. He was a good guy.
Yeah. Cool.
It was
And
nice.
Awesome. And one of your first main promotion, I suppose, you joined was Global Wrestling. So what was it like being part of that group?
that was fun, man. That was a good place to start out at. But the fans were crazy.
Yeah.
It was fun.
You had quite a different gimmick, I suppose you could say, Mo Adib. So what was it like portraying that gimmick with your manager as well?
With Skandar Akbar?
Yeah.
It was neat, man. He taught me a lot. He taught me a lot about shooting angles and, interviews and which way to do this. Skandar taught me quite a bit.
Yeah. And what was the locker room like at the time? Because obviously these are the early 90s. So what was it like, the locker room scene during that time?
Back in Global or WWE?
Back in Global.
Oh, Global, it was fun, man. You had a lot of old timers back there that, really showed you the ropes. I remember Greg Valentine's dad, Johnny Valentine, called me one time. He watched my match, and I was green, and he watched my match, and he told me after the match, he told me to come here because he had his. That's when he had one leg.
Yeah.
And he told me to sit between his legs on the. He was sitting in a chair, and he said, "Come here, sit right here." And that was right between his legs, and I was like, "Okay, what's this all about?" And he told me, when you hit somebody, you hit him like this. And he hit me in my chest. I swear to God, my heart stopped for a second.
Wow.
He hit me so hard, man, my heart stopped. His hand was like leather.
Yeah.
And that's a Motimer. The Motimer's tough, man.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Cool. And not long after this, you made your way towards WWF. So how did that come about, joining the World Wrestling Federation?
Well, it was cool at first, man. I mean, I enjoyed it. I really did. And, just a lot of underhanded stuff going on that I didn't appreciate, that I didn't like.
Yeah.
A lot of jealousy.
Yeah, I've interviewed quite a few stars from your era, and they've all mentioned to me a lot of the backstabbing, what went on, and it was just a political game. But one of your main ones, I suppose it was one of your first matches, was against Skip Chris Candido. What was he like to wrestle?
He was a true professional, man.
Yeah.
He was good. I mean, regardless, what people say about him, he was a good wrestler. He was very good.
Awesome. And obviously, Chris Candido, obviously, he was with Sonny, and we've all heard the stories about Sonny. But what was your experience with her like behind the scenes?
I know it. My name got put in there. I don't even know how my name got put in there with Sonny.
Yeah, I heard
saying
that.
saying that I had dated Sonny or I was dating Sonny, and I don't know where that came from. I mean, golly, I mean that came out the blue, But that just shows you can't believe everything you hear.
Oh no, and I mean, like, because I think what was well known, she was dating Shawn Michaels behind Chris's back, and like to this day, she says that Chris had no idea, but a lot of people like to think that Chris did know, but he's in denial. So, what was your opinion on that when you saw Chris backstage?
I think he knew, but at that time, Shawn was like running the show. And if he would have said something, he probably would have got fired. So I think he knew, but he kept his mouth shut about it.
Yeah. So a pretty sad way to be. But not long after your first match with Skip, you made your pay-per-view debut part of the Survivor Series. And you was given like this big push straight away, teaming with Shawn Michaels, Sid, and the Bulldog. So what was it like pretty much straight away, you getting paired up with these main eventers?
Oh, it was cool, man. It was fun. I mean, they had to lead me because I mean, here I was green, and here I am in the ring with all these veterans. So I had to kind of like follow their lead.
Yeah, and one of the people you did face in that Survivor Series match was Owen Hart, and everyone knows he's the king of ribs. And I've heard your stories, but what was your experiences around Owen?
I loved Owen, man. He ribbed me all the time, all the time. But I remember Brett told me one time that if Owen don't like you, he won't rib you. He don't mess with you. He don't deal with you, period. But if he keeps ribbing you or rib you because he likes you. He ribbed, man, he ribbed me big time.
What was your favorite rib he done to you?
Wrestlemania, he called my room and acted like he was Jay Leno. I thought it was the Jay Leno show.
Right.
And so we set up an interview for the next day. So I went out, man. I brought me a nice suit, a nice new watch, nice shoes, man. I was decked out. And then I went outside because the limousine was coming at 5. So I went outside, waiting for the limo. And then Owen and Davey came out. And I was like, why are they standing out here, watching me? And they just kept watching, but they kept stop laughing. And then all of a sudden, Brett came out and told me, Owen did that. That wasn't Jay Leno's show. That was Owen. So I went spend all that money, man, on nothing. And he laughed so hard he fell in the bushes.
That's the best. And one of your feuds you first got programmed as well, and this led towards Royal Rumble, was Jeff Jarrett. So what was it like working with Jeff Jarrett?
Yeah.
Not good.
Not my cup of tea.
Fair enough. And you just mentioned it, WrestleMania 12. So, like we said, you debuted not long before this, pretty much near Survivor Series, and you was put into WrestleMania 12. So, what was it like wrestling your first WrestleMania and in front of an audience of that size?
Oh, that was big, man. That was huge. I mean, they were so loud you couldn't hear yourself think, But it was fun. I enjoyed it. It was an experience of a lifetime.
Awesome. And that WrestleMania match, you was teamed up with Jake Snake Roberts and Yokozuna against Champ Cornette, and I've heard you don't really get along with Jim Cornette. He's a pretty controversial figure these days. What was your experiences with Jim Cornette?
I don't know. I never really talked to him or anything. I mean, he just, it's one of the things where people don't get, just you get along with him, Me and him just never got along. We've never had any words or anything, but, I heard him talking trash, and I don't know where he get his trash talking from, because he never even spoke to me during the WWE. Alpha, E, and WWF. We never even spoke to each other.
Yeah. And during this run, like I said, you was teaming up a lot with Jake Roberts. So was like teaming with Jake, and like his story has been mixed. Like 1 minute he's on straight and narrow, which he is now presently, thankfully. But other times, when he was hardcore into his drugs, he really was. So what was the Jake like you was with round in '96?
Yeah, well, man, he was so good. You couldn't really tell when he was on drugs and when he wasn't. He was just that good.
Yeah.
He was still, even if he was still professional in the ring and everything. So, I don't know what to tell you about that, except he was a good guy regardless.
Yeah. And speaking of good guys, we mentioned the brother-in-law, but British Bulldog. So I think he was just as good, or if not, a better ribber than Owen. So what was Bulldog like to be around?
Cool, man. He was a cool dude. Him and Owen, two peas in a pot, man. They would rib you to death, and don't care if you like it.
What's your favorite Bulldog rib?
Well, my fiance's parents were coming to one of the matches, and I had never met them before. This is my first time meeting them. And you know what a stink bomb is, don't you?
Yes.
Okay. Well, while I was in the ring, they take a stink bomb and put it in my suitcase, and it got all over my clothes. So when I got down to the match, here I am, finna go meet my in-laws for the first time, and here I am smelling like dog shit, and I'm like, oh my God. So I went up there and just embarrassed as I don't know what. And then I came back down and Owen did it. Oh, Davey, you did it. Owen did it. They thought I was mad. I wasn't mad, but they thought I was.
Yeah. And was there a story like, is the 2 years had the arm wrestle? Was there sort of a story behind that? Like there's like dog food or something involved?
Yeah, he put the stink bomb on his hand.
Right.
So when I tied up with him, it was all over me now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, you guys! They're just too much, man. Too much.
And the 2 years are pretty strong guys. So in a shoot, who would you say would have been the strongest in that arm wrestle?
Oh, I think I would have got him.
Yeah.
I think I would have got him in arm wrestling.
Awesome.
He was a cocky dude, man.
Oh yeah, I interviewed his daughter, Georgia Smith, a few months ago, and it was great just going over all these old Bulldog stories. And he's greatly missed, and it's nice to see him be put into the Hall of Fame this year. So me being from Britain, the UK, he was always one of my favourites growing up. So that's just me being biased as a British. But after your feud with Bulldog, you was programmed into this feud with Goldust for the IC title, and I suppose you say one of the most controversial moments was you know what I'm going to say, the kiss. So was it planned or wasn't it planned, and was you legit pissed when it happened?
No, I wasn't pissed, but he did get me off guard. He was playing a ha-ha moment too. We practiced it, and he was supposed to put his hand over my mouth and kiss his hand, but he didn't kiss me because we was on live TV, and he knew there was nothing I could do.
Yeah.
I couldn't just jump up off the gurney and go get him. So he figured, then he kissed me for real, and I was like, oh my God, you dirty dog. And that was just a fun moment.
Cool. I've heard he's quite a fun character behind the scenes, Dustin. So, any fun road stories with him?
Dustin was another one that was good at ribbon.
Yeah,
He was good. Not as good as Bulldog and Owen, but he was good ribber.
cool. And you defeated Goldust and became the Intercontinental champion. And like I mentioned in the intro, you're the first ever African American to become the IC champ. So, how proud of yourself was you of winning at first winning the IC championship, but at the same time becoming the first ever African American to win the IC championship?
That was one of the greatest moments of my life, man. Becoming the first African American champion. I got a lot of respect from the fans, and the thing about it was we was in Wisconsin, Milwaukee, like if Milwaukee was, happy and ready for it, and everybody should have been ready for it.
Yeah,
but it was a good move, man.
Yeah, it was a great moment. I was watching it. I was again earlier in the week, and the crowd went wild when you put your shoulders to the mat. And one of my favorite finishes is the Pearl River Plunge, which I think is one of the best finishes of all time. And yeah, that when that 3 count went, you became IC champ. The fans just loved it. So you were so popular with the fans. So it really was such a great moment. And like recently, I don't know if you watch current day WWE, but Bobby Lashley's just become WWE champion. He's second, third, I suppose you could say, African American become the champion. So, how do you feel now seeing today's WWE, the fact that they are pushing more minorities, you could say, towards more prominent positions?
Well, I think it's a real good thing. I mean, I haven't really watched it, but I know Bobby Lashley and them, man. He's a hell of a wrestler, man.
Yeah.
That whole crew is him, Shelton Benjamin, MVP. All of them are just hell of a wrestlers.
They are. It's such a great group, and it's such a great thing to see. And it's been it's been a long wait, but we're finally getting more diversity. So it's great. And even for myself, being from the UK, Drew McIntyre becoming champion, finally able to see a British guy win the title. So so I kind of know what you mean. But go and after you became IC champ, this is like we mentioned, like near your beginning, you started teaming with Sean, but after you became IC champ, they really put a conscious effort to pairing you up a lot with Sean. So, what was like working these tag matches with Sean?
They were okay, but it seemed like he was getting a little jealous because he called me in the office one day and he told me, Ahmed, you got to stop doing all these high flying moves because when you do all this diving over the top rope and you weigh probably about 330 pounds back then.
Wow.
And you keep doing all this diving and stuff. And then I come out and do it and I only weigh, 2 whatever he weighed. He said it doesn't, look as good because you just did it. So if you can, I'd like for you to do more big man moves like the bear hug. And I'm not finna do no bear hug and do all them big man moves. No, that ain't for me, brother.
No.
Go ahead.
What was the because we've bypassed WrestleMania 12, but obviously that was the moment where Sean defeated Brett to become, the main champion. So, what was the attitude of the locker room when Brett was leaving for a while to do some other stuff and Sean was champion? Was the other because I interviewed Duke the Dumpster Drosy, and he said that a lot of the guys in the locker room wasn't a fan of when Sean became champ. So, what was your attitude towards it?
No, I thought it was a dirty thing that they did to him, man. I thought that was a dirty trick. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That was, I didn't like that at all. Because, here Brett he'd been in the business like 15 years at that time with the WWF. And then they pulled something like that on him, man. And that just ate me up.
Yeah. And like we said, Montreal Screwjob. So what was the rest of the locker room like? I know that Mick Foley walked out the next day, like as a protest. What was like the rest of the locker room? I can imagine it was like how can we trust Vince McMahon after he's pulled this on Brett? Like you said, he's been with the company for 15 years, so I can imagine like the attitude from the locker room was so low.
Well, it wasn't a good mood in the locker room. People, were talking about, like you said, how can they trust him after he pulled something like that, I mean, Brett did 15 years, and I don't think he missed a day of work. Even when he was sick or injured, he would show up for work. I mean, you get an employee like that, man, you treat him with the utmost respect.
Yeah.
That's an employee you want to keep around.
True. What was your relationship like with Brett? Because you mentioned, you got along with Owen and Bulldog, so I would imagine you got along with Brett as well.
Yeah, Brett was cool, man. I mean, real good dude. I mean, I never had any no heat with him and nothing. We spoke on passing, and I thought he was a great guy.
Yeah, awesome. And during this time while you're IC champ, you done the tours over Kuwait, and you became the Kuwait. You won the Kuwait Cup. So, what's it like doing them overseas tours?
Oh man, that Kuwait Cup was unbelievable. We had so many. We had the match was outside in the soccer stadium,
right?
And it was packed. I mean, from one end to the next, and it was funny because when me and Farouk was going to have our match, Farouk walked out there and there was red laser beams all over him.
Wow.
Yeah. So he turned around and walked back into the locker room.
Wow.
They had to tell the people, whoever's doing it, stop, because it was like, I mean, he came out, man, I swear, there was like 10 laser beams on him.
Yeah.
And, wait, you don't know if it's real or not. Is it a real gun behind that laser or what?
Yeah. And not long after this, you won a battle royal to become the #1 contender for Sean's title, and unfortunately, injuries happened. So, what's it like? You got pushed so prominently. You became the Intercontinental champion, and you was pretty much getting programmed to work a main event feud, and then I think it was a kidney injury, if I'm correct. So, how did you feel when you got told that you're gonna have to take a few months off and drop the IC title?
It was hurting. I mean, it hurt me when I was told I had to, give it up. But you have to, because I mean, that's something that they fight for,
Yeah.
That's one of the grand trophies they fight for, and I couldn't defend it with my kidney injury, so I was like, damn, what do I do now, But it is what it is.
Yeah, and you made your return, and because you was off injured, they played it as Farouk injured you. So when you came back, you started feuding with the Nation. And what was it like being programmed in this feud? Because it's quite ahead of its time. I suppose to say controversial because Farouk was on the mic calling you an Uncle Tom, for example, and things like that. So what was it like working this serious storyline, this feud?
It was me and Farouk had some, we got along good at that time. It wasn't anything, bad. It was just, his way of getting over with the fans, calling me Uncle Tom, calling me this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
And then I started on him, started talking about him, and that was just us getting over with the crowd.
Yeah, it was quite a hot feud, and like I remember growing up watching it, and like I said, when you made your return, the fans was right behind you again, and it was a really, really good feud. And during this time as well, you started teaming with Taker as well. And what was Taker like behind the scenes? I've always heard, he's the locker room leader, he's the main guy. So, what was your experiences like with Undertaker?
Smooth, man. He was that dude there is chill.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a very good dude, man. He keeps to himself. He's it's chill, the chill kind of dude, man. Nothing bad you can say about Taker.
No. And obviously he's part of the legendary BSKs, and obviously we had the BSK one side and the Kliq the other side. So What side did you prefer hanging around with?
Who did I hang around with?
Yeah.
I hung around with Vader for a while. And then me and Fruit and all of us were together. Me, Fruit, Yoko, Rakishi, and we all hung out together.
Yeah. Any fun stories with them groups?
One time in Africa, I cut on his bath water. He had a jacuzzi in his room and we didn't, so we were kind of pissed off about that. So I went in his bedroom and cut on his jacuzzi. And then we was going out that night and I forgot that I cut the jacuzzi on. And we came back, man, water was coming downstairs at the front desk. There's water leaking down there. I was like, oh my God. And then we went to Farouk's room and his room was flooded.
Awesome. And you made your way towards WrestleMania 13 and you teamed up with Legion of Doom against Nation of Domination. So what was it like working that match? Because that was a pretty hard-hitting match, that Chicago street fight.
Oh, brother, that was, man, you was sore after that one.
Yeah.
On both sides, you was sore after that one because they came out real strong and we came out real strong. And man, I took the Fruit to that table and put him in the hospital. I think it broke some of his ribs. And it was just, man, it was a rough match.
It was.
Because Hawk and Animal are pretty, they were pretty rough themselves.
Yeah. And a fellow podcaster asked me, his name's Mags, did you keep the shoulder spikes, what you came out with, or did they end up somewhere else?
No, I kept them because Hawk gave them to me. Hawk told me I could keep them.
Awesome.
Yeah, Hawk. And then they say Animal said I took them from him. And I'm like, do you really think that Hawk will let anybody take something from him?
Yeah.
Without beating their ass.
Yeah.
There's no way in the world Hawk will let you take something from him.
Yeah.
And then I asked Animal about it at an autograph site. I saw Animal, and he said he didn't say that. And sometimes you got to watch out with rumors and things like that. Like me and Mark Henry been going back and forth, but I think I need to apologize kind of on my part because I was going off once again. He say, she say, instead of going straight to the source.
Yeah.
I should have called Mark Henry and asked him, did he say what I heard he said? Instead, I, retaliated, which most people would. But, I don't know if he said it. He said it, I understand he didn't say it, but I thought he did. So I retaliated, and maybe I shouldn't have done that. Maybe I should have asked him first.
Yeah.
So I apologize about that.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose this is the chance to clear the air, really, because it was something I was going to bring up, Mark Henry's comments, and like you said, like things can get muddled in that, and it does. I mean, I think you done an interview with Sports Ski there the other week, and you praised Al Snow, and Al Snow was full of praise for you back online, saying you was always fun to work with, and then Mark said, no one's got a good word to say about you. But then after he said that, Al Snow came out and your defense was like, yeah, I loved working with Ahmed. So it's always Blair, like you said, it's he, she says, and these lines always get blurry. So what was your relationship with Mark back in the day? Because obviously you joined the Nation, you teamed up a little bit together. So what was your relationship back in them days?
We didn't have any problems. That's where I said that maybe I went wrong. We didn't have any problems at all. And, it's just he say, she say.
Yeah.
And I said I should have went to the source and asked him what did he say, what I heard he said, instead of retaliating. But that's me. And then I heard somebody say that D'Lo Brown was supposed to have beat me up or held me down or something in the locker room. I said, come on, D'Lo Brown, number one job guy. Give me a break. If D'Lo Brown had held me down, it would have been all over the internet. It would have been all over the podcast. It would have been in the magazines and everything. To give me a break. I ain't never, ever, ever got my ass handed to me in the WWE. WWF, why keep saying WWE?
Cool. And you ended up joining the Nation, and you turned heel. And in my opinion, like creatively, I think that was a bad move because I always thought the fans was always behind you as a babyface, and
They were.
I understood why they done it. They turned you heel. I mean, it went completely against what your character was because you've always been feuding against the Nation, and for you to suddenly turn heel on Taker and join the Nation, I think, like, I suppose you could say that was kind of the beginning and the end of your run because it was like, this is not something Ahmed Johnson would do. And I've seen many of examples of that sort of booking with stars down the line and before and after this. What was your reaction when they said, we're going to turn you heel and let you join the Nation?
I didn't like it, and I didn't understand it because the feud with me and Farouk had went on for years, and every time we went out, we still popped the crowd. And I never understood why he switched me to heel. But it was funny when I first got hired, he told me he wasn't going to tell me if I was babyface or heel. He was going to let the crowd decide. Right. So I never did announce myself as a babyface or a heel. I just kind of went with the crowd. And I wrestled like a heel. My wrestling style was very heelish.
Yeah.
But I don't know why he did that. I still don't know today why he switched me out.
Yeah, I don't know if it was a case they was running out of top names to feud with Taker because Taker was champion. Might have been something like that. And like besides you and your intensity, I suppose, you squaring off a Taker, you're a legitimate threat against him. So, but I don't know why they didn't just do a babyface v babyface. But unfortunately, we never got that match because you suffered another injury. So, you could say he was just unlucky because this is the second time it happened. So, how did it feel for you? Like, this is twice now you was on the cusp of starting main event programs and get these injuries. So, how did you feel?
I was pretty upset about it.
Yeah,
I was very upset about it.
Yeah, it was. It was pretty bad. And then you returned again as a babyface. So when you did return, they said to you, "Right, we're going to program you as a babyface again." How did you feel then? And what was it like? I suppose you could say this was your third time back now from injury. So what was it like coming back this time? And did you feel like the locker room sort of changed since then and the attitude of creative?
Well, I think you kind of lose the trust of the fans.
Yeah.
When you go heel and then go back babyface, I think I lost some of the trust of the fans by doing that. And that wasn't my doing, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I got a boss, and if he said do something, I have to do it.
Yeah.
But I didn't like it at all, man.
No. What was Vince McMahon like during this time? Because, like we said, like at the beginning, he was pushed to the moon and having really good success. And then, I mean, I suppose we're getting towards the end of your WWE run. So, what was your relationship like with Vince McMahon?
It was good. It was good at first.
Yeah.
Until later on, it seemed like everything went downhill after he switched me to a heel.
Right.
To the babyface.
Yeah.
And then we were trying to, build my trust back up with the crowd, but that's hard to do.
Yes.
Once they see you switch back and forth like that.
Yeah. And a few months after this, you made your departure from WWE, and like we've heard reports, like from what I've heard, and it's I think your sister was unwell, and I think you was meant to be doing an angle with the Truth Commission where they would drag you up the ramp. I think it was and attack you, and I think your sister, she was a fan of wrestling, and so I heard, I might be wrong, but you felt like you didn't want to be in that sort of angle while your sister was watching. So was that one of the reasons, and is that one of the reasons why you departed?
Well, yeah, she was sick, and I didn't want to know what they wanted to do. They wanted to put a rope around my neck and kind of like a lynching.
Wow.
And then that's when, you know, the crap hit the fan.
Yeah.
They wanted to put a rope around my neck and do like a lynching type of deal. And I wasn't going for that. No. And that's where, you know, everything broke.
Yeah.
And that's when I packed my bags and said goodbye and left.
Yeah. And after this, you made your way towards WCW. And who brought you to WCW? Was it Vince Russo? Because he was booking during this time. So was it Vince Russo who brought you to WCW, or was it someone else?
Yeah, Russo brought me in. And he brought me in. Then I got to talk to Bischoff, which was a good company. You know, people say bad things about Eric Bischoff, but I got nothing bad to say about him, man. He seemed like a good boss to me.
Yeah.
He seemed like a very good dude, him and Russo.
Yeah.
But that's what happened basically.
Yeah. What was it like dealing with Russo, like in WWE and in WCW? Like a lot of people's got mixed opinions of him. Some people's got bad opinions of him. Some people's got good opinions of him. And I'm actually interviewing him in a few days. He's finally coming up to the show. But what was your experiences like with him, and how did you feel his writing was like?
I had a good relationship with him. I thought. I don't know, but he was always good. You know, me. I thought he was a hell of a booker, man.
Yeah.
I thought he was a good booker. What he did was good, but people kept interfering with his ideas and what he had to do, and he didn't appreciate that. And I don't blame him.
Yeah.
But no, as far as I'm concerned, he was a good dude. He never did anything bad to me or showed me any kind of, disrespect or anything.
Yeah. And you got brought into WCW and they put you part of Harlem Heat 2000. So you and Booker was feuding over the letter T. So what was like being part? Yeah. What was that like being part of the storyline? I mean, it makes no sense, but tell us what it was like when they told you, right, we're going to have you and Booker feuding over the letter T.
Girl, I was embarrassed when they said we're going to be battling over the letter T. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. The letter T? Why not the letter I? I couldn't understand that, why they wanted to do something with the battle of the letter T. Yeah. That's what they wanted to do, man. So that's what we did.
Yeah. And I mean, what I'm going to mention now, this is probably going to be one of the hardest subjects to speak about. So I think you was in WCW when this happened, and I would imagine Brett was in the locker room as well. But when you said about Owen Hart's fall, and like we mentioned earlier, you got along with Owen great. So what was your reaction when you heard about it? And did you see much of Brett during this time?
Oh, man. No, I didn't see much of Brett until afterwards.
Right.
And you could tell it was eating him up. You know, You can tell it ate him up inside, man. And because it was eating me up inside.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. And I couldn't believe that they continue on with the matches. That's what really freaked me out.
Yeah.
Is the fact that they didn't stop the match. I mean, I'm sure if you'd have told the audience, that there was a tragedy and you were going to, cut the show off right then, I'm sure the audience would have understood.
Yeah. It was horrible, and like I agree the show should have finished. And like loads of people look back and thinking, and I think Brett said it like he doesn't agree that the show should have went on, and he basically came out and said, I would ask this for Vince, what if Stephanie fell from, the scaffolding? Would he have carried on the show then? And it's a good point. I mean, obviously, we wouldn't want to see that happen, but yeah, it was a terrible decision to carry on the show. And because Owen, out of everyone you've heard do an interview, I don't think I've ever heard a bad story about Owen.
No, there's nothing bad you can say about it, man. He was just, he made it fun to come to work.
Yeah.
He made it fun to come to work because you didn't know what he was going to do, didn't know what mood he was in. And it was fun coming to work with Owen, man. I mean, he made my day. He made me coming to work fun.
Yeah. Cool. And I suppose it's nearing the end of WCW. What I think you've mentioned earlier, though, the locker room, there was quite a difference. I think you've said that you felt like the locker room in WCW was tougher than it was in WWE.
Yeah, the guys just seem to be tougher.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, in WWE, you got people saying, oh, man, he was a shooter and, he hurt a lot of people and this, that, and other. But in WCW, not one person can ever say that I hurt them. Even Hogan told me, he said, he said, I've been in this business for a long time, son. And he said, when you punched me, I thought you were going to kill me. He said, but you have some of the lightest punches I ever felt.
Oh, wow.
I just look that way. I look like I'm going to kill you.
Yeah.
That was just my intensity. But I mean, I knew how to control them. But WCW guys, not one of them ever complained about me hurting them.
Oh, wow.
But WF, you touched them wrong, like Sean or somebody, you touch them wrong and they, oh, he hurt me. No. I never understood that.
Yeah, and I mean, it's probably be our final topic. So, Shawn Michaels and, the Kliq. So, we mentioned at the top of the show the backstabbing that went on, and obviously we saw that firsthand with what happened to Brett. So, what was some of the things you saw Shawn Michaels do in the back? Like, did you actually see him, like, at the back actually bury people in front of you, or what was, like, his antics like behind the scenes?
No, I stayed away from him, basically. I mean, you stayed away from me, I stayed away from him.
Yes.
Because, I mean, I wasn't going to put up with that. And he knew I wasn't going to put up with that. Now he wanted to say some stuff behind my back, which to me, that's a cowardly way of doing things. Mm-hmm. But he might have said things behind my back, and he might have had a lot to do with them taking the belt from me. Yeah. But, that's cool, too.
Cool. All right, Ahmed. So we're at the end. So yeah, thanks very much for coming on the show. But before we do sign off, where can people find you on social media?
Just on Facebook. I'm just got my account on Facebook, man. I just answer all my fans. I talk to them, and I got a load right now. Yeah. People want me to come do autograph sessions and podcast, and oh man, I got a load on my hands right now.
Awesome. I've got quite a few pals with this podcast, so I'll be sure to pass your name along. I'm sure they would love to have you on their shows as well. And once the pandemic's lifted, we can go to some conventions and things like that. So it's one thing I do miss is actually going to a convention, but because over here in the UK, we still got pretty bad with COVID. The numbers is dropping. Everything is still closed, but I think they said at the end of March, fingers crossed, things gonna start reopening again. So it's been a nightmare since it's happened.
Yeah, same thing down here. I mean, I don't go anywhere.
Yeah,
I do not go anywhere, man. I'm not taking no chances with my life, and it's just you can't tell who has it. It's a silent killer.
Yeah,
you can't tell. It's in the air. It's not like it's got any scent or anything. It's just there.
Yeah.
So I stay away from people, man.
Cool. Well, Ahmed, thanks very much for coming to the show. It's an absolute pleasure. And yeah, in the future, hopefully we can do this again one day.
Okay, let me give a shout out to my boy Reggie Rollins. He's named Buddha. He's wrestling named Big Buddha. You probably hear about him coming up real soon.
All right, I'll keep an eye out for him.
But yeah, make sure you do it. Make sure tell him to get you a call. But his name is Big Buddha. He's a good wrestler, man.
Awesome.
He's one of them guys that should have got a chance a long time ago, and he hasn't got a chance yet. But it's coming.
Awesome. I shall be looking out for his name. So awesome. So yeah, thanks again for coming on to the show, and yeah, hopefully we can do this again one day.
All right, buddy.
Hey, thanks for checking out this interview. Hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, please give us a like or 5-star rating if you're listening on YouTube or on podcasting forms. And either way, please give us a big old subscribe because it really, really does help the channel out. I didn't believe it did, but it does. And as for announcement for next week's interview, from Impact Wrestling, we've got the Punjabi Lion, Mahabali Shera. Great chat to Shera. Bit of a different chat. We talked about him growing up in India and how big wrestling was for India and how popular it is. And we also, very, very humble guy, we get into him joining Impact Wrestling, feuding with the likes of James Storm and Scott Steiner, and some really, really fun stories. So, great chat to Shera. So that's our interview for next week. So until then, like I said, please like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.